The 637th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 637. Excuse me, I had myself. 637 on the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Ryan Jarrell, who did a good job filling in these formidable shoes that you had to fill in for. But as you can tell by the voice and perhaps the face on your screen, Daddy's back home. I am here. Sorry. I need the money though, so I'm back. I did see the comments that they prefer solo Gumby. I get it.
I did see that one. That one's harsh.
I need the money anyhow, so I don't care what you think. I am back. And boy, did I pick a good week to come back. No UFC this week. Only a couple regional events, but we're gonna have fun regardless. So this episode is, and I thank Gumby as well for holding on the fort while I was gone. This episode all about last night's UFC on ESPN, Kennedy versus Ohio. Some interesting results, some exciting fights. So we shall make it briefer than our usual recap episodes are, and move on. I guess we probably should drop a Contender Series episode tonight too, right, Gumby?
Yeah, if you're listening to this, the Contender Series episode is probably also available. We're going to try to put those two down at the same time. I also want to give a special shout out. You know, obviously Ryan Jarrell has departed. He's not with us.
You killed him?
He's still alive, but he's no longer with this podcast, which is, you know, basically me. But I also wanted to throw it off to another common guest of the show that is not with us now anymore, which is your ironing board. It seems to be gone.
I was trying to get rid of it. So the boss told me to get rid of it. The home boss told me to get rid of it, so it is gone.
Okay,
not my choice. I don't really care.
I was like, I don't think Ryan and Kramer care all that much. So
Nope, they don't. So no, the real boss said no. So did you have fun while I was gone, Gumby? I caught all the little slide remarks. That's fine.
I will say there were way too many appearances of future Gumby. Yeah. That was a little bit heavy-handed, so that was less fun. I didn't hate the solo episodes. They, you know, if I was going to get all of the picks in that I needed to for Road to the UFC, which wound up not being a very good event for us. We went 16-2 in the first round. I think it was 4-6 in the second round, which is not real great. But we did go 7-0 on LFA, and had some good picks there, including Ashley Yoder as an underdog.
Yeah, exactly,
still good for us.
Y'all were complaining that you did LFA instead of PFL, and you were complaining that you picked Ashley Yoder. But Gumby's all about money. He doesn't care.
PFL was chalkier than I anticipated. I was like, I bet you it's all chalk except for maybe Tyler Diamond, and it was all chalk, including Tyler Diamond losing. So it was like, why?
So how many dogs actually won PFL? Because
I think it was zero. I think it was zero.
Okay. Yeah.
It was definitely zero on the main card, but that's because, I mean, the closest lined fight was Brendan Lognan -300 to like plus 260 on Kai Kamaka. Like that's the most interesting fight I could pull up to talk about. Like, it's not worth half an hour of your time. So bet all the favorites, put them in a parlay, win some money.
Parlay favorites league, as our fans like to call it. All right, before we dive into last night's UFC, SGPN, I got to tell you about. Of course, everything in our merch store is 10% off with promo code College Football. That'll be sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. Obviously, get MMA gambling stuff. Get my Tuesday Night Contender shirt, Tuesday Night Miracle shirt, which is fading. I probably should get a new one, but we got lots of good gear. Obviously, all our shows have gear. So check it out, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store. The code football will get you 10% off. Plus, college football kicks off this week. Tune in to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Football Experience for week 0 picks and all your favorite futures. All right. Now, I let Gumby before the event. I let him decide whether or not we were counting his picks from last night in our official friendly competition, because I didn't have official picks for last night. So I let Gumby choose. He said to leave it out. Did you make the right choice?
No, I went 9-2.
Oh, perfect.
9-2, including hitting lock of the week, which was it was actually a lock of the week from future Gumby, because I'm
Yep.
real big on fading Dennis Bazookia no matter who his opponent is. And then dog of the week plus 250 Gerald Mearshart, because he's a patron saint of the podcast. We also had his prop at like plus 500 by sub. The only ones I missed were well, I guess we're gonna break them down. So I'll save that for then, and let's get cracking.
How did the fake Jeff do? Did you do all right with his picks?
Replacement Jeff, also known as Ryan,
new daddy.
He did really like Neil Magny, which wound up being kind of sad. And it was like sad in like a real sad way. He also didn't have official picks for Con Offley versus Myron Santos, because we recorded before that fight happened. And then he didn't have a pick for Bazookia versus Frank Marshall, because he did pick Bazookia over Danny Silva, but I didn't get a future Ryan pick either. So those ones, I mean, obviously gave him a little less to play with.
Yep. No one cares because old dad is back. So that's
he did hit his lock and dog though. He went kind of heavy on the lock with Reese. He's a big favorite. But then he doubled down with me on Mearshart. It was a Mearshart podcast.
It sure was. And Reese definitely looked like the massive favorite. So let's go to the main event though. Kyle Bo Ohio. I think that's how you say his name, right? Kai Ohio, our boy, came through. Biggest win of his career. A very dangerous Jerry Cannonier. I did not like that Ohio was staying on the feet the whole fight pretty much. Didn't really look to take it to the ground too much. But hey, what do I know? He won 49-45, 49-45, 48-46. So apparently he knew what he was doing. He was the one that was getting Cannonier on skates multiple times. Should
have been stopped in the fifth.
Yeah. Very, very close to, that's gonna be said. It should have been stopped, and it was very, very close. At the end of the fight was very, very close to being stopped. But Cannonier did not look good, especially when he was in that submission at the end of the fight. Yeah, he didn't look so hot. But 5 rounds with Kai Ohio apparently will do that to you. So answered a lot of questions for us here, did you not?
I mean, I've been saying for a while that I think people sleep on how good of a striker he is. Like, if you remember he had to do 2 bouts on Contender Series, if you remember. And like, he went out there and showed he could strike then. And, if you look at his regional career, he's always wanted to be, like, this is a true story about Cobb, Ohio. He's always wanted to be a Conor McGregor-ass fighter. Like, he even taught himself how to box left-handed because he wanted to be more like Conor McGregor on the feet. This is a guy who has always taken to boxing. And I know we see Brazilian and he's got a couple of submission wins, but he's always had hands, and he's pretty damn good defensively on the feet too. Like, to stay away from those big bombs from Cannonier for that long isn't easy to do. And like, if you think back to when Cannonier fought Sean Strickland, which granted is a while ago now, but like, in that fight, Strickland ate enough that like Cannonier won the decision because the big bombs were going one way and not coming back the other way. It of course begs the question, like, what would Cobb Ohio do against the Sean Stricklands of the world and the Dricus du Plessis of the world? Like, I think you beat a top 5 guy like that, he's in that conversation.
WWCBD, right? What would Kai Ohio
do?
Yes.
And I to your point, like, it is his first 5-round fight.
Yeah.
And as a result, like, maybe he didn't want to go gas himself out trying to take down muscly ass Jared Cannonier for 5 rounds. Like, I don't think he was going to get Cannonier down a lot. Like, he might have gotten him down and held him down. Who knows? But like, I don't think he was going to be able to do that 4 or 5 times. So like, maybe it was a conservation of energy thing. Regardless of what it was, he looked great on the feet.
Sure did. Yep, sure did. So obviously next question is, what's next for our friend Kai Ohio?
He called out Dricus du Plessis. I think with the log jam at the top of the division, that's a little bit tricky. I think personally, he's probably in line for the winner of Robert Whittaker and Khamzat.
He'll just step right in that fight then? He'll just fight Whittaker?
I was just going to say, if I were him, I would be in shape. And where are they fighting? Abu Dhabi. I would be shape and in Abu Dhabi for sure to step in a fight and try to beat Robert Whittaker for what you would have to assume at that point would be a title shot. Yep. He would be silly not to be asking the UFC for that.
Yep, especially if you're stepping in. Yeah, expect that to happen. Because Mr. Hamzat doesn't seem to be able to stay healthy. Well, this is we got what, a few weeks. He's just starting his training camp. So actually, usually he lasts about a month or so into training camp, and then the wheels fall off. So we'll see. We shall see how. Hopefully he hangs in there, but we shall see.
I'd like to see that fight still.
Yeah, got to be realistic though about these things. Co-main event. This was. I know the main event won Friday night, but I think this one may have been a little better. They were close. Women's strawweight, Tabitha Ricci, Angela Hill. Ricci came out bat out of hell. Super fast fight. Real fun to watch. Probably biggest win of her career as well, because Angela Hill is no walk in the park. But she Baby Shark got through 29-28 across the board. Got me screwed up and didn't use her as our thumbnail last week, but that's okay. I'm back to oversee these things. And but anyhow, Ricci came through.
Yeah, that's my slip up. I did use Ashley Yoder for the LFA one and got called out on having some thirst trap material. So, Ricci, another one of my picks. I will say, like, I thought she was going to win this fight by scoring a couple of takedowns here or there. I did not think she would, like, put it on Angela Hill the way she did. Because, like, nobody's ever put it on Angela Hill like that, right? Like, that is a fighter who it's really difficult to put that kind of style of fight on there. And Ricci did that. So, props to her. Huge win for her career.
Thoughts on her next fight? Because she's moving on up there, too.
I knew you were going to ask me this. So I started pulling up the rankings as you were talking there. And for me, the tough part is right ahead of her in the rankings right now is Loopy, who did beat her.
Yep.
And it seems like Dern is maybe too big of a step up. Does Amanda Hebos have Amanda Hebos does have a fight.
She keeps skipping. She's up to what, flyweight again, I think, isn't she? Is she not? She keeps jumping back and forth. So
yeah, maybe Marina Rodriguez.
Sure.
That wouldn't be an awful fight. Like I could probably get behind that. That seems like a big step up, though. It's kind of unfortunate that the women at that right around her rank right now, she's either already fought or seem to be busy. But maybe one of those fights opens back up, or she's going to take some time off. I don't know, but she deserves to keep fighting in the top 10 to 15 range because she's really put on an incredible performance against Dale.
How about Jillian Robertson or Luma Lukbunmi? Either of those?
I think that's probably too far down for her.
Okay.
Maybe Jillian. She's been on a nice little run, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the worst fight.
You straight 4 or 5.
Yeah. That might be the right one.
All right. Anyhow,
I think she ground and pounds the hell out of her though. So
yeah. Well, hey, that's what we want, right? We want to strap the rocket to her. All right. Before we move on, Underdog Fantasy. I got to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry, or you can play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball Mania. It's live with $15 million in prizes. You can now use specials and boosts in all flex entries. Gumby's going to probably give you Atlanta Braves pick for Monday.
Of course I am. Max Fried is throwing against the Twins on Monday. And while he had a little bit of accuracy issues the last couple of starts when he first came off the IL, he was absolutely locked in for his last one. So I like the lower than on his hits or the higher than on his strikeouts. He should be mowing down what is usually a pretty good hitting team.
All right, sign up with our code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000. Almost only gave you $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. Circus Sports is back with Circus Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you'll feel, the FOMO, if you win your Office Survivor pool but didn't enter the Circus Survivor. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out. Hang with Ryan and Sean, the bosses, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world. August 22nd. It's on right now through the 24th. Wait a minute. It's over, Gumby. This is old, a copy, but anyhow.
But they can still get in on the contest.
You can still get in on the contest for sure and use promo code SGP15 to save 15% on your hotel room. Maybe that's still on. You can always check. You sign up in person at Circus Sports between now and September 7th. So you still got a couple weeks there, and use a proxy to play from anywhere. Here's what you need to do. We have a deal on a proxy for you. It would be proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 in promo code SGP, and you get a free hat. Boom. All right. I'm back to butchering ad reads, but to be fair, I was just reading the copy. All right, let's move on. Don't want to throw anyone under the bus that may pay me.
You're like Ron Burgundy. You just read what they got in front of you.
It's true. All right, Tough. I know nothing about this, but these were good fights and the fighters look good. So maybe Gumby can tell me if these guys are for real or not. Middleweight winner was Ryan Loder. He basically destroyed the elbow of Robert Valentin, who was on Gumby's Top Turtle last week. And now this week, he's probably got his arm in a sling. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. That was round 2. And then the featherweight winner, Marvin Santos, knocked out Khan Offley a minute 30 into the second round. It was a very, very picturesque crumpling to his knees knockout. And then a bunch of unnecessary punches after the fact. So maybe we'll do these two together since they're both tough.
Yeah, so I've been higher on Robert Valentin. That was one of the 2 fights that I missed on this whole card. Loder's wrestling played up, which, to be fair, he's a Division I wrestler. He wrestled at Northern Iowa. He is he's the real deal. I do sort of question like what happens at middleweight when somebody stuffs a couple of his takedowns, because I'm much less high on his hands. I'm much less high on his abilities to like handle himself in other avenues. And his submission game played up a little bit. He had good positional jiu-jitsu, getting that. He got the finish from the crucifix position. So like, I think he's got some potential as a wrestler, but like really needs to round out his game. And Marvin Santos, he's who I called as the champion before the season even started. He is a heavily touted prospect out of Brazil. He fought for LFA. His only loss is Dan Argueta. And that was pretty much just a fight where like Argueta's wrestling sort of took over and it was him trying to fight his way back into the UFC. And like he kind of learned his lesson from there and worked on his takedown defense. And the boxing looks good. The range looks good. His takedown defense looks good. I'm way higher on Myron Santos. Excited to see what they do with him next.
Yeah, that power.
And he's young too. He's super young.
Good to hear. Valentin or Offley, they're going to stick around? Or are they done?
I think they got, Offley, they're both in their early 30s. So like, I don't know necessarily that like they need to stick around, but Valentin was kind of the star of the show. If you watched The Ultimate Fighter this year, he was, he kind of anointed himself an assistant coach at one point, and he was cornering fighters, and he had great advice and great sound bites, and he was always staring at the cameras and making faces. Like, I think the UFC likes how marketable he is. And, with Offley, he's a really talented grappler, and he beat Nate Fletcher, who is, was a really big force in Cage Warriors. So like, if he can do that with his grappling game, I think he can give people trouble. So it'd be nice to see him stick around and see if he can weed out some of the bottom of this division too.
In a night of biggest win of their careers, we had another one, Michael Morales at welterweight. TKO punches at Neil Magny. He just pretty much steamrolled the old man after getting taken down and basically controlled but nothing else. 439 in the first round. He got his hands going and his elbows going, and good night.
Yeah, that is that's I said it before. We have not seen somebody beat Angela Hill like that with that style of fight. When have we ever seen somebody like take it to Neil Magny and like get him out? Because he's a durable guy. He's always been a durable guy. And there, somebody's gonna respond in the comment section and remind me of a time where Magny got flatlined, but he's fought 33 times in the UFC, so I feel fine about forgetting one. But my point is that Morales looked really good. His hands are coming around. What is more exciting than welterweight right now, in terms of having Shavkat and JDM and Michael Morales, and I mentioned Carlos Praches is probably not far out of that list. Like, it is a great time for welterweight. These are all the fighters near the top who are on extensive winning streaks. Shavkat, Bilal, JDM, Joaquin Buckley, Randy Brown, Ian Machado, Gary. Oh, I forgot about Gary.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then Michael Morales has not lost, 5-0 in the UFC. So yeah, he puts himself right into the conversation for sure. So that was the main card.
You missed one on the main card.
Missed one. I'm sorry. Yeah, how did I miss this one? The patron state of the podcast, Gerald Mearshart. I'm sure Gumby saw it going this way. Shabazian will look like he's going to, Mearshart's going to look like he's going to get knocked out. In this case, Shabazian, but you can basically insert any generic middleweight into that equation. They will almost knock out
Muradov.
Yeah, they will almost knock out Gerald Mearshart until he gets himself caught. This time in arm triangle choke, 4-12 into the second round.
The ref told him to move or he was going to stop it 3 or 4 times. And then he just do enough to keep it going, which you've got to appreciate about Gerald Mearshart is there's no quitting that dude. And it's always been, you better save some gas for the late second, early third round, because this dude's submission game isn't gone in those rounds, and your gas will be if you try to punch a hole through his head for a round and a half. I mean, I love it. Not just because we had him at 250 as our double dog of the week, not just because his sub prop was mentioned at plus 500, but just like, he's such an easy guy to like. And, you know, this many fights, that was his 29th professional submission. Like, just an absolute crazy career.
Yep. Crazy. And it's made Gumby a lot of money and viewers and or listeners of our show as well. So that was the main card. How'd you do in the main card? What was your record over these 6 fights there?
5-1.
Wow, look at this guy. Prelims, Francis Marshall, Dennis Bazookia, the aforementioned, he stepped in on short notice, right? No, the other way around. Marshall stepped in.
Marshall did. Yeah.
Marshall went against my stats, saying don't pick short notice fighters, but you always pick against Dennis Bazooka, as Gumby says. Marshall squeaked one out, barely. 28-29, and then 30-27, 29-28. I guess he didn't really squeak one out. He clearly won the fight for me, and for 2 of the 3 judges, he did as well. Luckily, the right man won.
The judges were on one last night. They were
all the splits, and
But I will say this about that fight. It's like, this is such a good cautionary tale for every time you go to break down a fight. And you're like, well, they train with insert XYZ here. Because the amount of people who were like, Bazookia trains with Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili. His takedown defense is on point. And then, I always tell you when you come with me with the stats and you're like, this guy's got such and such takedown defense and his grappling numbers are better. It's always important to contextualize it because, again, his takedown defense is 72%. Do you want to know why it was? He stuffed 11 of 12 takedowns against Khalil Romeo on the Contender Series. And since then,
that's the fake guy. There's no Khalil Romeo.
It's Khalil Romeo. I think there might be an I in there. It's like Khalil Romeo. But like, he stuffed 11 to 12 takedowns against that guy. That guy never fought again. And meanwhile, his takedown defense stats are inflated. That's why, for all those of you out there who like to use models and things like that, like, they're great, but always make sure to contextualize a few of those things. Because this one was, it wound up being my lock of the week, despite being a short notice favorite. And that's all you need to know about what I think of Dennis Bazookia's takedown defense.
Yeah. What was the odds for you?
Negative 140, which I think probably would have been negative 220 if he had a full training camp. Okay. I'll take the reduced price on a guy who I think is much better. I've always been a big Francis Marshall guy too.
Yep. Looked good last night for sure. This man, maybe no one looked better than him. Zachary Reese. It wasn't for the tougher than a $2 steak or whatever the expression is.
So bad.
Jose Daniel Medina. Holy moly, was he tough? But and he was clowning the whole time while he was getting his ass kicked by Zachary Reese. Reese was not taking the bait. He was too busy beating up Medina to even talk back or even acknowledge the clowning he was doing. But it was all in good fun. And boy, Reese put a beating on this man on the mat, on the feet, wherever the fight went. He looked like a world beater here.
Do you remember why Jose Medina has a contract with the UFC?
Oh yeah, because it's the same reason. Because he's
the guy who he took a good beating and lost 30-27 on Contender Series. What did you expect him to do once he got to the UFC other than take more big beatings? And there was a whole narrative of he's got a good diet now and he's with a better team and like this and that. He's still a guy who's not very good on the feet with a concrete head. And he's always going to be that guy. I don't know, he's probably a very nice guy. He doesn't belong in the UFC with his current skill set. It would be a shame if they continued to use a spot on the roster with him for one more fight.
There you go. Boom. Harsh. Gummy's gotten harsh since I left, but I like it. All right. I was compared to this man. I was told I looked like this man last night. Someone in the Discord told me.
Oh, Slava Claus.
Either Crunch or Eric Does Sports. One of those two jokers. Say I look like Vyacheslav Borshev, Slava Claus. So obviously he's some kind of high-end male model, but not the fighter guy. But anyhow, he took a split decision over James Yon top 28-29, 29-28, 30-27. I think you were on the wrong side of this one, weren't you?
This is the only other fight I made. Yeah, I like the swing on Jan Top, mostly just because I thought he's not a guy who could be knocked out. You know, like similar to Medina, he is very tough. And so far, we have seen anybody who basically doesn't get knocked out by Slava winds up outworking him at some point in time. I was hoping Jan Top would do that and maybe even implement a little of his wrestling, and it just didn't happen. So I don't know. Is Slava? He's still just Slava, huh? He's still just kind of like a counter striker with big power.
Well, he is your favorite fight camp, so he's not really going to evolve much. He's why can't I remember the name? Alpha Male.
Team Alpha Male, yeah.
You can't really expect not much is going to change. He's going to be fun. He's going to be a hard guy to bet on and have 100% confidence on. So as Gumby did not, he went against him, so that's okay. Jackie Calvacante looked like she was about 2 weight classes at least, maybe 3 weight classes different than Josie Nunes. Josie Nunes at bantamweight's wild. Anyhow, Calvacante squeaked out a win here. Another wacky scorecard: 27-30, 29-28, 29-28. She clearly won the fight, but come on.
I mean, it was
maybe really not clearly. This one wasn't super clear because Nunes was more dangerous, but Calvacante,
she didn't land anything. Yeah, no, I mean, like in order to be dangerous, there is a caveat that something has to actually land.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I get the argument, and we've talked about this before, where like people are like, oh, you know, the harder shots were landed by so and so. That's true. But at the end of the day, like it also, like if the cumulative strikes from the other side are greater, that takes over. You know, it is only, oh, they had the harder strikes when they have done more damage. And I don't know that she did. She ate 7,000 jabs in like a bunch of straights. And for me, Cavalcante's boxing, I mean, I think she's obviously got a little bit of work to do in terms of footwork, but like, I think her boxing plays really well. I'll be interested to see her as they kind of move her up the bantamweight rankings.
Yep. She looked pretty good last night. She avoided danger, which basically was the key with a fighter that hits like Nunes. Nunes was home one swinging the whole time. Okay. You cannot tell me about Wang Kong here. Cause she looked fantastic at women's flyweight. Just totally knocked out. Obviously, she knocked out with punches Victoria Leonardo. No question about that knockout. I set her up beautifully. 2-punch combo. Turned the lights a minute 2 into the first round of the fight. And I believe you were on the right side of this one, right?
I was, and I liked her by knockout too, for the record. And I was only even money on her by knockout, but that was still a value play in my estimation. You know, we talked about Wang Kong on not this year's, or not the second set of episodes of Road to the UFC, but the first set of episodes of Road to the UFC back when we did episodes 1 through 4. You know, she has a kickboxing win over Valentina Shevchenko. She's clearly dangerous on the feet. And then on Road to the UFC, after we picked her, she went ahead and showed off she's got grappling now. So like, I think this is an example of a fighter who's sort of come into the sport the right way and rounded out her game really well. And obviously the boxing is just so much better than a lot of what you see at women's flyweight. I will be quite interested to see what's next for her.
Yeah. Is she legit is what I want is the question. Too early to say?
I think she is. Like, I think what we've seen from the striking, and then to see her go on to Road to the UFC and be like, oh, hey, look, I can grapple too.
Yeah.
Like, she's clearly has like a mentality where I have to show that this is a well-rounded game. And that's a good mindset you would want to see on a fighter at 6-0.
For sure. So 9-2, Gumby says he went, which was fantastic. As for were you up money? Obviously, you're up money going 9-2.
Yeah,
how were you?
And I hit a plus 250 as well. So I hit the lock of the week, Francis Marshall, as did my co-host who hit Zach Reese. We both had dog of the week was Gerald Mearshart, and we doubled down. He put together a silly parlay to basically the anti-Jeff Fox parlay for his prop of the week, and it did not hit. And mine also did not hit.
I took the anti-me. That's why.
Yeah, I took the Zachary Reese submission prop because I thought he would get frustrated punching Medina in the head and go for a sub. And he didn't. He loves that. He enjoys it quite thoroughly. So we wound up missing on the props, but everything else was money on Saturday.
Yeah, sounds like it. As for money in the fighter world, Bahio Cannonier fight of the night. Morales, Mearshart were the bonus winners. All right,
that's a really tough look for Myron Santos. I'm just gonna say that he just won the Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
It would have been, and he's
stuck in a horrible contract now.
He's 24. His wife's pregnant. He's living away from his family, which is in Brazil, as he trains at Extreme Couture. Like, dude, 50K would have been, and I don't get me wrong, love Gerald Meerschaert, huge Gerald Meerschaert fan. That 50K should be in Myron Santos's pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's locked in, as I said, to a bad contract for what, 7 fights at least, or something ridiculous like that. So
150.
Yeah, ridiculous. All right. Before we move on, let me tell you about Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money line spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop. And they also have a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Simplify your betting process for college football. Kickoff is coming. Did it just happen this past weekend? I don't follow college football. Did it just happen yesterday?
Yeah, they started week 0. So yeah.
Okay. So weird. Also, you can use Rhythm for golf, WNBA. People have been using that all summer long. They still have it going. You can build any kind of models you want on there, and it will help you. You can bet on, help you tell you what to bet until things. This smoke clears in college football, and you know exactly where to bet. It's going to help you out, especially earlier on in your life. So whether it's Delaware State football you want to bet on or whatever, they got it. All the info for you. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And of course, we are brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices of views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Not just MLB, though. I've been on there. I've checked out concert tickets, UFC tickets. They've got it all. They got flash deals, zone deals, all in the prices and seat views, lowest price guarantee, all that good stuff. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, maybe we don't have UFC, as I said, this coming week. Maybe we will quickly give you a quick preview of what we got coming before we get out of your ears and or eyes. It's an Apex fight card, yay! But it's got someone that we like in the main event. Actually, both guys are pretty good. It would be UFC Fight Night Burns versus Brady.
Oh yeah, that's a sick card.
Yeah, there you go. That's running. Gumby has already told you it's a sick card, but let me let you decide for yourself. Main event, welterweight, Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady, Old Guard, New Guard. Same thing in the co-main event, Williams women's flyweight, Jessica Andrade, Natalia Silva. Then we got Steve Garcia versus the Canadian, Kyle Nelson, Matt Schnell, Alessandro Costa, Trevor Peake, Yanal Ashmoez. I haven't said it for a while. Ashmoez is even easier than how I said it. Excuse me. Prelims, Rongju, Chris Padilla, Ryan Spann, Ovin St. Preux. How many times have they fought? Oh, that's the total Spider-Man meme fight too.
It's 0, I think. I don't think they've ever fought before.
Because they're the same person. Jackie Amaram, Vanessa Demopoulos. That's a fantastic fight too. Isaac Dalgarian, Brendan Marate, Felipe Dos Santos, Andre Lima, Yi Jia, Gabriel Santos, Andre Petrosky, Dylan Butka. And are we getting Zigomantis Ramaskas versus Nathan Fletcher as well or not?
Yeah, Shigamontis, Ramaska, and Shigamontis is going to be fighting Nathan Fletcher on that card as well. Yeah,
this is the fight card for the sickos. This is the good one.
Well, and that fight was supposed to take place this past weekend. That was another future Gumby pick, Shigamontis versus Fletcher. Which, if you didn't know on the show, Shigamontis didn't lose a fight. He was actually supposed to fight Myron Santos in the semifinals. And he had like a minor facial fracture that they couldn't clear him on.
No such thing as a minor facial fracture.
They pointed it out. It was in this like weird little pocket, like next to your jaw, but underneath your cheekbone. You can see this on YouTube if you're looking. And it's like there's like some really thin bones there, and he just had like a little fracture in one of them, but it was enough to cancel the fight. And then they wanted to give Nathan Fletcher a fight because he broke his fibula during the show. And kept training on it despite having lost.
Yeah.
And when they found out about it later, Dana White was like, he's an absolute
he's a savage.
He's a savage. And so he had to get a fight. He's also a great prospect. You know, like I'm not knocking him, but it was just like it was such a quintessential Dana White moment.
Oh yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, so this is a fun fight card, but that's not for a couple more weeks. So we'll get you some picks for that soon enough. We got some regional stuff. We got Road to UFC. We've got LFA.
No, Road to the UFC.
No, I'm sorry.
Dana White's
my shirt.
Series.
Read your shirt, dummy. Contender Series is coming up in a matter of minutes, perhaps seconds. Perhaps the second you, as Gumby said, you click off, you can click right onto it, depending on how quick I put these up. In the meantime, we shall be in the Discord. As per always, even on vacation, I was in there. Everyone was talking about their ages. Lucky I wasn't in there for that episode. So make sure you can just Discord, sportsgamblingpockets.com/Discord. Twitter is SGPN MMA. He's gonna be Vreeland. I'm Jeff Fox, writer there, and on Instagram. I got my Substack still up and running. UFC pick'ems every week on there at moneymma.substack.com. Gummy's got Top Turtle MMA podcast. Make sure you listen to that if you want to hear what fighter's going to get some kind of facial fracture shortly. Gumby will let you know in advance by interviewing them. What else? The mothership. No, YouTube. Oh, we haven't even talked about YouTube yet. Hit subscribe. Did you notice the numbers weren't going up as quick without my face on it? Now that I'm back, let's get to 1,000 people. So hit subscribe on our channel. Don't turn notifications off. You need to watch every episode as well. And what else? Gumby, I told you about Gumby stuff. Oh, mothership, sportsgamblingpockets.com, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store, so you can dress cool like us. And remember, football will get you 10% off. And sportsgamblingpockets.com/Patreon for the bonus content and to help us keep the lights on here. All right, we'll be back very, very shortly. I wanted to say tomorrow, but no, it won't be tomorrow. It'll be very, very soon. In the meantime, I don't have nicknames in front of me. Let me think. Do you have nicknames in front of you, Gumby? Do you want to do
the natural Kai or the natural Jeff Fox, and I'm Daniel Gumby Vreeland, and we will catch you in a minute.